The stray cat I picked up seems a bit strange. Why does it look exactly like that Cinder School beauty from my school? So, I decided to give it a name. You really look like the school beauty at my school. Arrogant and impolite. Her name is Xiaoxi. So, I'll call you Xiaoxi. Unexpectedly, the kitten got angry instantly. You bad guy. Xiaoxi, from now on, I am your owner. Did you hear that? Meowda. The kitten's gaze seemed to mean understood. Good, as long as you know. Xiaoxi, you're so obedient. Since it rained this morning, and I lent my umbrella to Xiao Xiaohua, I got soaked on the way back. I feel all sticky and uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Xiaoxi was staring at me with big round eyes, wondering when it's mealtime. But as I took off my wet clothes, I was so fast that the cat couldn't react. The pure and dignified Xiao Xiaohua was seeing a man's bare upper body for the first time, his flat stomach, even revealing the contours of his abs. You big pervert. Xiaoxi's little cat face turned red like it was burning. The whole cat was flustered and quickly hid under the bed. It wasn't intentional. Looking at the panicked little cat, I was completely confused. What the heck? This little female cat knows how to be shy. We are not even the same species. Has this cat been acting cool for so long that even looking at a human feels attractive now? 2.5 minutes later, I finished my shower and walked into the kitchen. Considering the cat's taste preferences, I added extra shrimp to the fried rice. Xiaoxi sat on the table facing me, eating happily. To Xiaoxi, Li Mo was actually a pretty decent person. He could cook and loved animals. Aside from his poor grades, he really had no flaws. Plus, he was 1.8 meters tall and handsome. How could someone like this not be in a relationship? It must be because I speak too bluntly. Meow. Xiaoxi reached out a paw and tapped the small metal bowl to get my attention. I didn't even bother to look up. I casually scooped a spoonful of fried rice for her. Then I continued staring at my notebook. For some reason, I suddenly activated some kind of top student mode. My memory was almost photographic, but my English pronunciation and math logic were still completely terrible. So, I decided to sign up for an online course. Maybe I could cram a little, but online, there didn't seem to be any courses for my situation. Trying to be a diligent student is really hard. Hearing this, Xiaoxi lifted her snow-white paws and walked over. Then her eyes widened. He was actually looking for study materials for students with amazing memory but poor fundamentals, for high school seniors with zero foundation, a 100% guaranteed university admission course. What kind of nonsense is this? Meow. I looked at him in confusion. What? Are you hungry again? Xiaoxi shook her head. Her bright eyes flickered. You're talking about online courses. A bad student can have ambition too. What's so strange about that? But I'm not aiming for some prestigious university. As long as I score close to the top students, that's enough. And if I can surpass that arrogant school beauty, even better. Xiaoxi let out its cinder snort with a look of utter disdain. Her grades were the best in the entire school, okay? And he thought an online course would help him surpass her. Where did Li Mo even get the confidence for that? He sure dares to dream. Meow. I looked up at the now empty little metal bowl. You finished it already? Are you a cat or a pig? Meow. Xiaoxi looked at me angrily, fuming with a fierce but adorable face. That's right, she was indeed a cat now. But the energy she needed was the same as a human's? How could a little more food hurt? Last night, I only had a small bite. I thought it would be enough, but I was starving before midnight. Forget it. Since there's no online course for me, I guess I'll just stay lazy. I sighed, then flopped backward onto my bed. At that moment, Xiaoxi, now full and satisfied, curled up on the carpet in pure bliss. But before she could enjoy it for long, my next words made her first stand on end. Oh right, Xiaoxi, you haven't had a bath since you got here, have you? Even though your fur looks clean, there could still be bacteria. How about I give you a bath? Hearing this, Xiaoxi was immediately terrified. In a flash, she darted under the bed. I'm a girl. A girl. I am the dignified school beauty. Living in your house is bad enough. But now you want to bathe me? No way. Absolutely not. Xiaoxi, now in cat form, frantically shook her head under the bed. This was not something she should have to endure. She was pure, okay? If Li Mo really did that, How would she ever get married in the future? No way. Even in a cat's body, this was absolutely unacceptable. You don't want a bath. You really are a dirty cat. That's one thing you don't have in common with our school beauty. I heard she's a neat freak. Under the bed, Xiaoxi let out furious meows. Yes, she was a neat freak. But more importantly than that, her dignity as a girl was at stake. Damn you, Limo. It'll be 100 years before you get to bathe me. Fortunately, my next words made her relax for now. Never mind. I'm tired today anyway. If you don't want to, then forget it. But tomorrow, you have to. You can't run away, understand? I tapped the edge of the bed. Xiaoxi shuddered under the bed in fear. This was dangerous. Pure, undeniable danger. Meow. Dirty cat. No name calling. Awoo awoo. Barking like a dog won't help. I reached over and turned off the light. Within seconds, I was fast asleep. And so, the night passed in silence. In the blink of an eye, it was morning. Just like yesterday, I woke up to find that Xiaoxi was already gone. I wasn't surprised. I just assumed she had gone for a walk. A young cat like her didn't need to earn money for fish snacks. So, of course, all she did was run around wildly. After washing up, I grabbed my backpack and headed out. Once I arrived at the classroom, I placed my backpack down. The weight of my dreams landed with a heavy thud. Damn, Limo, did you bring a pile of bricks to class? I shook my head. Then I pulled out a stack of shiny, untouched textbooks. These were all my textbooks from 3 years of school. Lao Song saw this and gave me a look of realization. Brand new, huh? No wonder you went from 3rd place in the whole school to 3rd place from the bottom. Hearing that, I let out a small sigh. That was a part of my past I didn't want to remember. Forget it. Let's not bring that up. I need to start memorizing. I flipped open my textbook. Thanks to my top student mode and photographic memory, I finished an entire book in 3 minutes. Just as I was studying like crazy, an excited scream suddenly echoed from the hallway. Look, the school beauty is here. Why is she coming to class too? The moment that voice rang out, a crowd immediately formed around the entrance. Xiaoxi was holding a stack of notebooks. She gracefully walked from class 1 to the doorway of class 2. Her small leather shoes tapped against the smooth floor, making a crisp click, click sound. Click, click, under the watchful eyes of the entire class. She slowly walked up to my desk. Then, without hesitation, she placed a thick stack of notebooks on my desk. With a loud thud, the sound startled me out of my intense studying. Why are you here? And what is this? For you? For me? I put down my math textbook and picked up the top notebook, flipping through it. Inside, it was filled with the most essential and refined math knowledge points. Whoa dot. These were the notes of a top student goddess. Wait, how did she know? I suddenly decided to work hard. I widened my eyes at her, as if trying to find the answer on her delicate face. Xiaoxi had never been stared at so directly by a boy before. Her cheeks quickly flushed red. The entire class watched in stunned silence. Then, their gazes shifted toward me. Their expressions gradually darkened. What the hell did this guy do? What's his relationship with the school beauty? Yeah, he's just a failing student. Why is he so close to our goddess? Could it be she likes Limo? No way, that's impossible. As the chatter in the room grew loud enough to shake the ceiling, Xiaoxi finally couldn't handle my gaze anymore. Her face turned as red as fire. In a hurry, she turned around and quickly walked out. At that moment, the class math teacher happened to walk in. Seeing Xiaoxi, he was momentarily stunned. Isn't that Xiaoxi, the top student of the entire school? What is she doing in class 2? But he didn't dwell on it, assuming she had simply entered the wrong room. Meanwhile, as I watched the school beauty's figure disappear through the doorway, I slowly withdrew my gaze. Could this be her way of repaying me for the rain yesterday? Thinking about it, I couldn't help but smile. This girl is kind of interesting. She doesn't seem as cold as she pretends to be. And so, the lesson began. I finished reading all of Xiaoxi's notes, and as I finished, those elegant handwritten words were etched into my mind. It felt like a martial arts master had imprinted them onto my brain. Just like that. At that moment, I felt more confident than ever. Lao Song, I'm going to be first in the class on the next monthly exam. Lao Song blinked. Are you serious? Did you forget about my insane memorization skills? And with Xiaoxi's notes, this is a sure thing. Hearing Xiaoxi's name Lao Song couldn't help gossiping. Hey, old Lee. What's your relationship with the school beauty? Why is she being so nice to you? Nice? How is she nice? She talks to you. She even gave you her study notes. I closed my book and said seriously, that's just because I lent her my umbrella and rain boots yesterday. Nothing more? Of course not. Lao Song let out a sigh of relief. So that means I still have a chance. I couldn't help but chuckle. No, I don't think you do. Just as we were talking, a half-used piece of chalk whizzed through the air and smacked Lao Song on the head. Talking isn't enough, huh? You're still chatting in my class? Get up here and solve a problem. Lao Song froze. Solve a problem? You must be joking. He was second to last in the entire class. How could he possibly solve an advanced math problem? So, he stood up and said bluntly, Sir, I don't know how to do it. The math teacher smirked. I figured. Limo, I bet you don't know either. I nodded in agreement. Even though, after reading Zhao notes, this problem was as easy as child's play. But showing off right now wasn't my plan. I wanted to shock everyone at the monthly exam. However, seeing our response, the math teacher looked frustrated. Students like you are a complete waste of education resources. Letting you stay in school is already a compliment. Right after that, he reached out and wrote the entire solution process on the blackboard. Even if I write it out, can you all understand it? Old Song shook his head. He couldn't understand. If you don't understand, why are you still standing here? Get out of my classroom. Old Song's face turned red. He lowered his head and left the classroom in disappointment. Just as I was about to walk out the door, I suddenly realized that the solution he explained was wrong. Isn't this misleading students? As the worst student in class, I immediately stepped forward and slapped him twice. Teacher, your second step is incorrect. If the function's graph is symmetrical about the origin, fx might be a maximum value. This assumption is invalid. This is the fundamental condition of the problem. Please read the question carefully. Do not mislead students. As soon as I finished speaking, the entire class was stunned. Even the math teacher looked bewildered. He never expected that a student who never paid attention in class would point out his mistake. What surprised him even more was that, when he looked at the blackboard again and rechecked the problem, he realized that he had indeed made a mistake. He had just called me trash. So, wouldn't that make him worse than trash? Realizing this, he froze in place. For a moment, he didn't know what to do. Why is the teacher frozen? Did he really make a mistake? But I've already copied down most of it. No way, just as everyone was confused. The math teacher suddenly threw down his textbook and stormed out of the classroom in shame and anger. Seeing this, I shook my head helplessly, leaving behind a wrong answer and just walking away. What a way to mislead students. After saying that, I stepped onto the platform, erased the wrong answer left by the teacher, and rewrote the correct solution. Then, as if nothing had happened, I walked out into the hallway. For 3 seconds, the classroom was silent. Then, all of a sudden, it erupted in chaos. Whoa, how did Limo suddenly become so amazing? Isn't he the one who never pays attention in class? Could it be Zhaoxi? That explains it. Just now, the goddess brought him a pile of notebooks. So, she personally tutored him? So jealous. Meanwhile, Old Song, standing in the hallway, quietly gave a thumbs up. Lao Mo, you really made us underachievers proud. Keep it low-key. Keep it low-key. I smirked confidently, then couldn't help but turn my head to the right. Through the glass, I happened to see part of another classroom. At that moment, Zhaoxi was sitting at her desk, swinging her little feet back and forth. She seemed to be in a great mood. No wonder all the boys in school like her so much. Just looking at her back is enough to make hearts race. Maybe because I had been staring for too long, Zhaoxi suddenly froze. It was as if she had sensed something. Without thinking, she turned her head. Our eyes met in midair. Then, we quickly looked away. At that moment, Zhaoxi looked just like a shy little girl, her face flushing red. Even her happily swinging feet stopped moving. She just kept her head down, as if she had completely immersed herself in her textbook. Meanwhile, I felt like I had just witnessed something unbelievable. My head was full of question marks. Why does she blush every time she sees me? All I did was lend her an umbrella and rain boots. It's not like I lent her my underwear. Is blushing really necessary? But Zhaoxi didn't see it that way. This bastard Limo always has thoughts of taking a bath with me. And she even accidentally saw him completely naked before. How could she not blush? Just then, Xia Kaolin suddenly remembered something. The once quiet school building became lively again. Zhao Shi and the English class representative, Zhang Shuqi, walked out of the classroom together. Zhang Shuqi was probably her best friend. Kind of like a best friend, Zhao Shi. I still don't understand the last math problem. Can you teach me later? Zhao Shi absent-mindedly nodded. Then, as she passed by me, she lowered her head. Ever since I became her stray cat, she gets completely flustered whenever she sees me. Seeing this scene, a strange thought popped into my head again. She really reminds me of my little cat, Zhao Shi. The moment I speak, she gets scared and scurries away. Thinking of this, I unconsciously called out Zhao Shi. Hearing her name, Zhao Shi's body immediately froze. Then, her cheeks flushed slightly. What is it? Thanks for the notebooks. You're welcome, Zhao Shi replied softly. Then quickly grabbed Zhang Shuqi's arm and hurried away. However, her best friend Zhang Shuqi noticed her flustered expression. Immediately, she thought of the rumors spreading throughout the school. It was said that Zhao Shi and Li Mo from class 2 had some kind of special relationship. At first, she didn't believe it at all, but just now, she actually saw Zhao Shi blushing. She even tightened her grip on her hand. That was definitely not a normal reaction. With a teasing smile, she said, Zhao Shi, what's going on with you and Li Mo? Unexpectedly, the moment Zhao Shi heard Zhao Shi, she suddenly trembled. That feeling, it was like a cat scratching at her heart. A shiver ran down her spine. Don't. Zhang Shuqi looked confused. Don't call me Zhao Shi. Zhang Shuqi's mind was suddenly filled with question marks. Zhao Shi bit her lip tightly, not knowing how to explain. She couldn't exactly say that hearing that name made her think of Li Mo petting her. Could she? That would be too much. But since she didn't give an answer, Zhang Shuqi was even more confused. Aren't I your best friend? And you won't even let me call you by your nickname? Zhao Shi fell silent again. She really didn't know how to explain. Seeing that she wasn't saying anything, Zhang Shuqi became even more interested. If you won't say it, then I'm going to keep calling you Zhao Shi. Zhao Shi, Zhao Shi. Zhao Shi's face turned so red it looked like it could drip water. She couldn't even walk properly. She had to lean against the wall with her right hand. Please stop. At that moment, Zhang Shuqi also realized something was off. She immediately shut up. Hurriedly, she held on to Zhao Shi. What's wrong with you? Why have you been acting so weird these past 2 days? It's nothing. I just have a weird reaction to that name. Zhao Shi took a deep breath. She lifted her head and secretly glanced at Lin Mo. Zhang Shuqi followed her gaze. The moment she saw Li Mo, she furrowed her brows. Zhao Shi's odd behavior these past 2 days. It definitely wasn't that simple. She had a feeling that this had something to do with Li Mo. She needed to investigate this thoroughly. She couldn't let her best friend get involved with an underachiever. Seeing her best friend finally quiet down, Zhao Shi let out a small sigh. It seemed like from now on, the name Zhao Shi would belong only to Li Mo. Thinking about it carefully, this was way too ambiguous. The last 2 classes before lunch were PE, and this time, PE was a joint class between Class 1 and Class 2. Soon, students from both classes slowly made their way to the field. Immediately, they attracted a lot of attention. Look, the school beauty in sportswear, with her ponytail tied up. How can someone be this perfect? She's smart, and she's beautiful. After seeing her, no other girl will ever catch my eye again. Hearing the whispers around her, Zhao Shi sighed inwardly. Then, without looking anywhere else, she walked straight to the center of the field. He was already used to this kind of scene. However, he wasn't worried about these onlookers. What he was worried about was Li Mo. He couldn't understand. Clearly, he was a human now. But why did he have a cat-like mindset every time he saw Li Mo? He wanted to be petted. He wanted to crawl into his arms. He wanted to lick, damn it. He really regretted it, wishing to turn into a cat at his birthday party. He should have wished to be a puppy instead. That way, the moment he saw Li Mo, he could chase and bite him. As Zhao Shi thought about this, his gaze wandered around. He started scanning the entire playground for Li Mo. At that moment, I was holding a basketball, practicing slam dunks. Sweat dampened my short hair, glowing brilliantly under the sunlight. Watching my agile layups. And the moment I suddenly lifted my shirt to wipe my sweat, revealing my slightly toned abs. The usually aloof school beauty couldn't help but blush once again. No, no, I absolutely cannot look, even though this kind of muscular physique is really lethal. But there's no way I'm that kind of person, the girl thought to herself. Zhao Qi hurriedly averted his gaze. But just as he turned around, he saw Zhang Shuqi standing behind him all along. He had no idea how long she had been watching. Zhao Qi suddenly felt a little guilty. Kiki, why are you here? Zhang Shuqi stared into his evasive eyes. A faint, meaningful smile appeared on her face. That guy playing basketball looks pretty handsome. Do you think he has a girlfriend? Hearing this, Zhao Qi got so nervous he stammered. He probably doesn't, right? Doesn't he always go home alone after school? That's great. I'll go see if I can strike up a conversation. Zhang Shuqi said as she raised the bottle of mineral water in her hand. She raised the bottle of mineral water in her hand, then stepped towards the basketball court. Seeing this scene, Zhao Qi furrowed his handsome brows. He wanted to say something, but in the end, he said nothing. At this moment, I had just completed a dunk that I thought looked incredibly cool. Just as I landed, I heard a girl's voice behind me. Hey handsome, want a bottle of water? I turned around and looked at Zhang Shuqi. The handsome guy just went to the restroom. Just as Zhang Shuqi was trying to make sense of what I meant, Lao Song suddenly ran over from the south side of the playground. He was panning the entire way. Is the handsome guy here? What do you need a handsome guy for? He asked. I chuckled, then continued dribbling and making layups. Seeing this, Zhang Shuqi slightly frowned. She didn't expect this guy to be so hard to approach. However, she wasn't someone who would be discouraged by such a small obstacle. Li Mo, I'm Zhang Shuqi from Class 1. Can we get to know each other? Hearing my name, I suddenly stopped my layup. So you're Zhang Shuqi? Ranked 5th in the entire school. Yeah, Zhang Shuqi replied with a confident smile. She thought, as expected, talented girls are more attractive, right? But my next sentence left her completely stunned. Better cherish it. Next time, you'll be ranked 6th. Beside me, Lao Song patted my shoulder. With an arrogant look, he added, my bro said it. Next month's exam, he's aiming for the top 5 in the entire grade. So, you'll soon be ranked 6th. Hearing this, Zhang Shuqi's eyes widened instantly. She thought, these two must be crazy. A guy ranked at the bottom wants to be in the top 5. What a joke. Zhao Qi, being so proud. How could he possibly be interested in this guy? Looks like I was overthinking it. Thinking of this, Zhang Shuqi let out a dry chuckle. She turned around and left. Just at that moment, the PE teacher blew the whistle. He instructed the sports monitors of both classes to form their teams. After forming the lineup, they began the usual warm-up jog. The group ran forward in unison, chanting, I'm going to get into Tsinghua. Meanwhile, Zhao Xi was at the back of the group, staring blankly at my silhouette. Then, on the second lap at the bend, she accidentally stepped on a rock. A sharp cry of pain followed. Zhao Xi lost her balance and fell to the ground. Oh no, the school beauty fell. Shocked voices echoed around. On the playground, dozens of boys rushed over in a panic. But halfway there, they suddenly froze. They remembered one thing. The school beauty really disliked physical contact. She absolutely wouldn't let any guy touch her. If they tried, it would just backfire. At that moment, Zhang Shuqi stepped out from the group. She hurried over in a panic. Zhao Xi, are you okay? Did you twist your ankle? Zhao Xi gritted her teeth and tried to stand up. I just stepped on a rock. It's fine. Can you take me to the infirmary? All right, I'll support you. Try standing up slowly. With countless eyes watching, Zhang Shuqi helped Zhao Xi up. They moved across the field at an extremely slow pace. After all, Zhang Shuqi was just a girl. She didn't have much strength. Supporting the school beauty, whose ankle was already swelling, made their pace even slower. Watching from the side, I couldn't help but furrow my brows slightly. They were moving slower than a turtle. At this rate, they probably wouldn't reach the infirmary before class ended. Even though the school beauty and I weren't friends, I had received her class notes as a favor before. After hesitating for a moment, I finally stepped forward. At this pace, when will you ever get there? By the time you get to the infirmary, your foot will be useless. Let me take you there instead. As I said that, I reached out my hand toward Zhao Xi. Zhang Shuqi frowned slightly at the sight. She thought, like Zhao Xi would ever accept your help. Does he even realize who he is? But the next moment, to her shock, Zhao Xi slowly reached out and placed her hand on my shoulder. Thanks. No need to thank me. This is just repaying you for your class notes. I crouched down. Zhao Shi obediently leaned onto my back. As I felt a soft, gentle pressure on my back, Zhao Ji's face turned red once again. She found it incredible. She wasn't at all repulsed by Li Mo touching her. Maybe it was because he had touched her so many times when she was a cat. I stood up, carrying Zhao Shi, who had twisted her ankle. I quickly left the playground. It wasn't until our figures disappeared that the surrounding boys snapped out of their daze. Then exclamations erupted one after another. What the hell? What happened to her germophobia? Didn't she say she wouldn't let guys touch her? Our goddess is actually lying on his back. Does she only have occasional germophobia? Why him? Why not me? The guys on the playground were practically losing their minds. Even Zhang Shuqi stood frozen in place, unable to react. At this moment, only one thought filled her mind. That person just now couldn't possibly be the Zhao Shi I know, right? Meanwhile, I was carrying Zhao Shi on my way to the infirmary. Her body was warm, comfortably warm. Her skin, within reach, was soft and smooth. She felt so well behaved, so much better than my dirty old cat. At least, she didn't have sharp claws. She wouldn't scratch me either. I felt like the atmosphere was getting awkward, so I tried to start a conversation. Oh right, I finished reading your study notes. I'll return it to you before school ends. I don't think I'll be able to beat you in this month's exam, but after a few more tries, I definitely will. When I finally take away the first place title you've held for 3 years. Don't cry about it. Zhao Shi listened to me quietly. Blinking from time to time, she couldn't help but rub her face against my shoulder. It was completely instinctive. Even she was startled after doing it. What are you rubbing against me for? Are you itchy? It's your foot that hurts, not your hand. Can't you just scratch it with your hand? Zhao Shi huffed in frustration, wishing she could just bite me. I glanced back at her. You know, you're actually not that bad. If you talked more, and didn't always act so indifferent, we might actually become friends. Zhao Shi let out a soft sound in response. She actually forgot all about her injured foot. Somehow, she found this really comfortable. So comfortable that she wanted to purr. I sighed helplessly. Can you not talk one word at a time like that? Alright, so now I'll do 2 words at a time. Fine. I give up. I clicked my tongue and thought to myself, girls like her are best admired from afar. But if you actually marry them, and they barely say 10 words in 3 days, that would be unbearable loneliness. Thinking that, I adjusted her position on my back. Then, I stepped into the infirmary. Teacher, are you here? We've got a patient. How are you talking? She's injured, not some business deal. A woman in her 30s, wearing a white coat, walked out. She twisted her ankle during PE class. Can you take a look? I placed the school beauty onto the bed, pointing at her injured ankle. The female doctor only glanced at it before turning to look at me. Help her take off her socks and shoes. Hearing that, my eyes instantly widened in shock. Aren't you her boyfriend? Teacher, please don't talk nonsense. I'm a good student who has never dated early. The doctor sneered upon hearing this. Come on, I was your age once too. I'm not that old-fashioned. Hurry up. I sighed helplessly. Then I crouched in front of the school beauty, hesitated for a moment, then suddenly looked up. Zhao Shi, your feet don't smell bad, right? I heard that even beauties have hidden flaws. Upon hearing this, Zhao Shi angrily kicked me. Your feet are the smelly ones. Then she snorted softly and said, hurry up and help me take it off. I don't even know what debt I owe you from my past life. I muttered under my breath. Then I held her small foot and helped her take off the little leather shoe. To be honest, Zhao Ji's fair little feet were like white jade. Her small toenails were neatly trimmed and pretty. They could almost be used as corneas. I subconsciously sniffed. Surprisingly, there was a faint fragrance. What the heck? Do I actually have some hidden preference? To cover up the awkwardness, I deliberately coughed twice, then looked toward the doctor. Teacher, it's off. Alright, let me take a look. The female doctor crouched down and pinched her foot. Why is it so swollen? That shouldn't be the case. Could this be an old injury combined with a new one? Zhao Shi hesitated for a moment. Then she nodded. I twisted it before when doing ballet. Oh, ballet. The doctor nodded thoughtfully. Try rubbing it yourself first. I'll apply medicine in a bit. Too bad there's no ice here. It would work better with ice. Xiaoxi obediently rubbed her ankle. But when she instinctively looked up at me, she found that I was already gone. Already left? Thinking of this, a trace of disappointment flashed in her eyes. That's really strange. What exactly am I expecting? Isn't it just normal for him? I'm not even someone special to him. Yet, when he lowered his head, he suddenly froze. Where did my socks go? At the same time, inside the school convenience store, I was stuffing the popsicle I'd just bought into Xiaoxi's socks. Seeing this scene, the store owner couldn't help but shout in disgust. Aren't those girls' socks? You're a young high school student. Why aren't you behaving properly? Do popsicles taste better this way? But when I heard that, my eyes widened in surprise. That's actually a good idea. The store owner really knows her stuff. Meanwhile, in the infirmary, a female doctor entered carrying a medical kit. After glancing around the room, she suddenly frowned. Where's your boyfriend? Did he leave? I mean, you're such a pretty girl. Why did you choose such an unreliable guy? Hearing this, a trace of disappointment flickered in Xiaoxi's eyes. But then, he suddenly raised his head. Teacher, have you seen my socks? Socks? The female doctor was momentarily stunned. Her gaze suddenly shifted toward the white wall on the east side. A promotional poster hung on that wall. It was a pictorial guide for student first aid. In the third section, there was a simple method for treating ankle sprains. It involved putting a popsicle in a sock, then massaging the ankle for 40 minutes to an hour. But barely anyone ever looked at it. It was mostly just for decoration. Yet in this impatient era, there was actually a boy, thoughtful and gentle enough to notice such details. This made the 30-year-old, still single, female doctor suddenly feel like she wanted to fall in love. Seeing her remain silent for a long time, Xiaoxi couldn't help but call out again. Only then did the female doctor turn back and smile. Don't worry, your socks will be back soon. Also, I take back what I said earlier. Xiaoxi looked confused. He had no idea what she was talking about. I mean, your boyfriend is actually quite reliable. This only confused Xiaoxi even more. He knew the boyfriend the doctor referred to as Limo. But what did she mean by reliable? How could leaving like that be considered reliable? Just as he was racking his brain over it, the door to the infirmary suddenly opened. I walked in from outside, holding a popsicle and his socks. It's so hot, teacher, have a popsicle. I smiled as I handed one to the doctor. Then I took out another and gave it to Xiaoxi. After that, I crouched down and grinned at him. So, Your Highness, does it still hurt? Xiaoxi didn't say anything. He just stared at his socks, which were now bulging. What's inside? Why are they wet? I didn't bother explaining. Instead, I took the improvised ice pack, made from the sock, and placed it on his ankle. The cool sensation instantly soothed the burning pain. Xiaoxi's eyes widened in surprise. I teased him. You really thought I left? If I left, how would you get back to class? Hearing my teasing, Xiaoxi didn't get mad. Instead, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. Not only did I make him an ice pack, but I was also going to carry him back to class. Not bad. Half an hour later, I looked up at the doctor. Is it time? Hearing that, a hint of disappointment flashed in Xiaoxi's eyes again. He really wanted a little more massaging. The doctor glanced at the clock on the wall, then nodded. Avoid water for the next few days. It should heal quickly. I paused. No water at all. Yeah, you have to hold out for now. So that means no washing my feet. Won't they start to stink? Xiaoxi suddenly huffed and kicked me on the butt. He actually kicked me. I'm never helping you again, I replied, pretending to be annoyed. Then I carried him out of the infirmary. The doctor watched us leave, feeling a bit sentimental. Youth is wonderful. It always has a way of making hearts flutter. Across the vast campus, a gentle breeze blew, rustling the lush green leaves. The trees whispered softly. At that moment, Xiaoxi lay quietly on my back, not saying a word. As we crossed the long bridge over the school lake, Zhang Shuqi approached from the opposite side. Xiaoxi, are you feeling better? Yeah, much better. Good, it's time to eat. Come with me. Then he shot me a wary glance. You're not planning to eat with us two, are you? No, I have other things to do. I handed Zhao over to Zhang Shuqi, and then turned and walked away coolly. That settled things. Most likely, this would be the last time our paths crossed. However, at the end of the school day, I was unexpectedly blocked by Zhang Shuqi again. His expression was serious. One look, and I knew he was here to question me. As expected, getting involved with Zhao Shi never leads to anything good. I sighed to myself, then looked at Zhang Shuqi. What do you want? I need to talk to you. Let's go somewhere else. Fine, let's go to the Central Park. At this hour, the Central Park was bustling with people. Most were parents with their kids, or young professionals, unwinding after work. Zhang Shuqi sat on a bench, his expression serious as he looked at me. What exactly happened between you and Zhao Shi? I told you before, didn't I? On a rainy day, I lent her an umbrella and a pair of rain boots. Impossible. There must be more to it. Otherwise, he wouldn't be this close to you. Hearing that, I was completely stunned. Close? What makes you think we're close? But Zhang Shuqi remained serious. You probably don't know how much Zhao Shi dislikes men. He hates being touched, let alone letting someone carry him. That's simply impossible. I wouldn't know about that. I shrugged. Then I broke apart the grilled sausage I had bought earlier and placed a row of pieces along the flower bed. Seeing this, Zhang Shuqi looked puzzled. What are you doing? There are a lot of stray cats and dogs around the park. I'm just giving them a little treat. Hearing that, Zhang Shuqi was surprised. Do you feed them often? Not on a set schedule. I just come by when I feel like it, but the strays here all recognize me. As I spoke, rustling sound suddenly came from the bushes. A soft scuffling noise. Then, a black stray dog peeked out from the flowers. This is Zhao He. He was even smaller when I first met him. I reached out and gently stroked Zhao Hei's head. Zhang Shuqi froze for a moment. He pursed his lips unconsciously. For just a split second, he actually thought this guy was really handsome and kind. What's happening? Is this an illusion? As he stayed silent for a long time, I turned to him, confused. Do you still have something to say? Hearing that, Zhang Shuqi snapped back to reality. Did you know? Zhao Shi was originally supposed to go abroad for university, but he didn't want to be alone in a foreign country, so he went to great lengths to convince his parents to let him stay here. I thought about it and nodded. Someone like Zhao Shi, born into a wealthy family. Being from a wealthy family, his upbringing must have been very strict, yet he chose an uncertain future for himself. That must have taken a lot of effort. So I don't want anyone distracting him from his college entrance exams. Alright, I understand. From now on, I won't talk to him at all. Hearing that, Zhang Shuqi was once again stunned. This guy actually agreed with him? And why did his smile seem so warm? It was filled with kindness. You don't think I'm meddling too much? I shook my head with a smile. You're just looking out for your best friend. It's not like you have bad intentions. So I don't mind. Seeing that the issue was settled, there was no reason to stay any longer. After tossing my trash into a bin, I turned and left the park. Seeing this, Zhang Shuqi stood up with a huff. HMPH, at least you know what's good for you. I thought I'd have to argue more, he muttered to himself. Then unconsciously reached out to pet the little black dog from earlier. Meanwhile, when I arrived home, I saw Zhao curled up on the mat with a sulky expression. He looked as if he had been wronged. Where on earth have you been? I'm starving. I crouched down and gently patted his head. Sorry, I got held up. Come on, I'll make you some food. I stood up and opened the door. But to my surprise, Zhao let out to meows and limped inside. Seeing this, I couldn't help but laugh. What happened to your hind leg? Did you fight with a stray dog? Meow, Zhao huffed, waving a tiny paw. You look both fierce and adorable. I told you to stop running around all day, but you never listen. I crouched down and picked him up, carefully checking his hind leg. It's not too serious. It's just a bit swollen. Meowing loudly, Zhao struggled in my hands, his hind legs kicking frantically. Oh no, I've been completely exposed. My dignity. Dot. My innocence. Gone. I'm ruined. I can never get married now. After dinner, I picked Zhao up again, inspecting him thoroughly. I had planned to give him a bath today. But since his leg was mysteriously injured, I decided to skip it. Can you be a little more well-behaved? Stop running around everywhere. I patted his head dotingly. But Zhao didn't look happy at all. He had already been lifted up and thoroughly exposed. His innocence was gone. What did it even matter if he took a bath now? Luckily, it was just his cat body. If it had been his original human body, he didn't even dare imagine the situation. Seeing him struggling again, I decided to stop teasing him. I set him down and sat back at my desk to study. Tomorrow was the monthly exam in the Southern District. It was my chance to change my reputation as a bad student. Even though I had all the knowledge memorized perfectly, a review wouldn't hurt. I wasn't aiming to surpass Xiaoxi this time, but making it into the top 5 should be no problem. Hopefully, that little girl, Zhang Shuqi, won't cry about it. As I focused on studying, Zhao began wandering around my room. Earlier, Shuqi had said that boys' rooms were full of unspeakable secrets. He had been here for 3 days now, but hadn't explored properly yet. Thinking about it, he wiggled his tiny white paws. Jumping up and down, he leaped from the bedside to the wardrobe, clawing through the clothes inside. But he didn't find any of the real-life figurines that Shuqi mentioned. No suspicious dolls either. So then, he turned to the bookshelf instead. He jumped up, aiming for the books. But the force of his landing knocked over the entire clothes rack. That sudden loud bang gave me a fright. Stupid cat. What are you up to now? I looked at the pile of clothes blocking the way. My eyes widened instantly. Miao Zhao refused to back down. He opened his mouth and let out a string of feline complaints. Oh, you're still not convinced? Then you can sleep on the street tonight. I pretended to be angry and moved forward to grab him. Miao Zhao was startled. He instinctively took a step back. There are stray dogs outside, you know. It was his first day as a cat. Luckily, he knew how to climb trees at night, or he wouldn't have made it. That damn Limo. He actually thought he was a kind person. Just when he started to feel a bit of warmth toward him in the infirmary. And now he's treating him like this. Meowwitch, I reached out and picked him up, even though I was just scaring him earlier. Some form of punishment was still necessary. Otherwise, he'd become completely unruly in the future. I carried him to the bathroom. As punishment, he had to be locked in the little dark room. Miao Zhao glared at me angrily. All the good feelings he had before vanished. Now, all he wanted was to take a bite out of me. Just accept your punishment. I'll let you out when I finish reviewing. Meow. At this moment, Zhao felt utterly wronged. Pleading wouldn't help. Who told you to cause trouble for me? I grinned smugly. Then, considerately, I shut the bathroom door for him. By now, it was already 9 p.m. I reviewed everything from the past 3 years. Then, I closed my book. I was just about to let Zhao out, when suddenly my phone on the desk rang. It turned out to be Lao Song sending me a string of numbers via QQ. Oldly, hurry up and join the group chat. What group chat? The school's main group. You're about to cause a huge scene. Check it quickly. I frowned slightly. What did I even do? And you stayed there for an hour. Everyone is saying they want to skin you alive. Skin me? That's serious? I tapped on the numbers. Successfully joined the Changnan High School main group chat. As soon as I entered the chat, I saw several photos taken from a high angle. The photos must have been taken from upstairs. The images showed me carrying Zhao to the infirmary room. Below the photos were countless comments from male students, especially the last few. They were all from the top students in the rocket class. Their grades were excellent, and most of them were top university candidates, so they looked down on me, a failing student. Some even despised me. I sneered and sent a message in the group chat. Talking behind someone's back, such a great skill, and you call yourselves elites? You all that confident? The chat instantly went silent. The atmosphere became extremely awkward. Getting caught bad-mouthing someone. There must be a mole in this group. But even if Li Mo caught them, so what? Does it change the fact that he's still a failure? By Mo, don't think we won't speak just because you're here. What makes you think you deserve to like Jiao? That's right. Calling you a toad trying to eat swan meat is too kind. You don't even qualify as a toad. Seeing these messages, I didn't get angry. Instead, I smirked meaningfully. How about we make a bet? A bet? What kind of bet? Everyone here, without exception. If I score higher than you on the next monthly exam, you all have to apologize to me in front of the entire school. And call me Grandpa. I was wrong. Of course, if I lose, I'll drop out immediately. Looking at my bet in the chat, the Rocket class boys burst into laughter. Limo, you think you can compete with us from the Rocket class? Ask around in the chat. Who would ever believe a failure like you could score higher than Rocket class students? That's right, as long as even one person believes in you, I'll take this bet. But if you lose, whoever vouched for you must drop out along with you. Seeing this, I couldn't help but frown. Would anyone believe in me, even if someone did? Would they be willing to gamble their education on it? This is just ridiculous. Just then, a profile picture of a blushing sunglasses-wearing cat appeared in the chat. I'll do it. I'll vouch for Limo. He can do it. I believe in him. The username was Cat in Boots, and their account level seemed quite high. I was slightly stunned. I clicked on their profile. It was a girl. I didn't have any close female friends at school, let alone someone who would stand up for me in this situation. But her appearance completely changed the atmosphere in the chat. Not only did the instigators quiet down, but even the Rocket class elites stopped talking. So, is it acceptable now? Of course, it is. Someone ranked 5th in the grade definitely qualifies as a guarantor. But is this necessary? Yeah, Jongshuki, this bet is about expulsion. How can you vouch for him? The elite students were becoming increasingly uncomfortable. Zhaoji was their goddess, and Jongshuki was also highly popular. The two were known as Changnan's talented beauties. One was close to Limo, and the other was willing to drop out for him. What was going on? Where did they get such a strong bond with him? At this point, I finally realized her identity. Jongshuki was actually willing to vouch for me. Didn't she just mock me earlier today, saying aiming for top 5 in the school was just a foolish dream? Thinking of this, I closed the group chat. I sent a friend request to Jongshuki. Surprisingly, she accepted it instantly and sent a message. What's up? I hesitated for a moment. Why did you help me? I thought it was fun. I also want to see how capable you really are, even if it means dropping out. What's wrong with dropping out? My dad is the principal of Experimental now, one high school. Even if I leave Changnan, I can still take the college entrance exam. I suddenly understood. So that's how it is. But I do have a condition for helping you. Whether you win or lose, I want you to publicly clarify your relationship with Jiao. I don't want her to be affected. Okay, I nodded without hesitation. Then I glanced back at the class group chat. Since our English class representative is backing him, I'll join the bet too. Count me in. Looking at the growing list of names in the chat, I couldn't help but smile. Wow, not a single one of them was even top 10 in the grade, yet they dared to talk big. With my enhanced memory and the school bell's notes, my chances of winning were sky high. If I still couldn't get into the top 10 with all this, then maybe dropping out wouldn't be so unfair. Just then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of the phone clock in the top right corner. It was 11 p.m. I had unknowingly spent 3 hours arguing in the chat. Thinking about this, an image suddenly flashed in my mind. A pair of furious, glowing eyes. Oh no. The cat is going to lose it. I rushed out of my room, frantically opening the bathroom door. Meow. At that moment, Jiao was glaring at me with deep resentment and fury. 3 hours. You locked me in here for 3 whole hours. Limo, you damn Limo. Is this how you treat your school bell? Luckily, I'm not that active. I've been quiet and reserved since childhood. Otherwise, these 3 hours would have driven me crazy. A beast in human clothing. Always bullying me. Zhao, are you angry? Meow. Zhao, she still looked at me with an angry face. I didn't mean to. Something suddenly happened just now. Saying that, I quickly took out my phone. A bet. Zhao, she lifted her head. Looking at the message on the phone, she was slightly stunned. Something like this happened at school. Is it because of me? Alright, since you didn't forget me on purpose, I'll let it go. Miao Wujiao jumped down from the toilet lid. She walked out of the restroom with a proud expression. Early morning. As I walked into the school, many eyes turned towards me. Yesterday's bet in the school chat had already spread. Almost everyone knew what had happened last night. A student who always ranked at the bottom actually claimed he would defeat a top student. This bet was basically a free win, wasn't it? But many were curious. What exactly was Li Mo planning? Was he going to cheat like crazy? Or did he really want to use this as an excuse to drop out? But no matter what, no one at school believed I could win. Even though yesterday, in class 2, I solved one of the hardest questions, the students in class 2 still had no confidence in my performance in the monthly exam. Old Li, I'm heading to the exam room. You better give it your all. Don't worry, worst case, I'll just drop out. Old Song shivered. Hey, are you seriously not confident at all? And just planning to quit in style? I patted his shoulder. Don't worry. Even if I lose to anyone, I won't lose to those elite guys, got it? But I still have to remind you. Don't cheat. The school already knows about the bet. I think they'll send teachers to monitor the exam. They'll be watching you closely. Got it. I clutched my exam admission ticket, stepping onto the 3rd floor. Upon entering the exam room, I was surrounded by unfamiliar faces. But while they seemed unfamiliar to me, I was anything but unfamiliar to them. Because of the bet, it was nearly impossible for me to avoid attention now. So this is Li Mo. Interesting. Maybe he's got some high-tech cheating device on him. I bet he doesn't even know how to cheat. Cheating is just an excuse to drop out. As I walked past them, hearing their hushed whispers, I couldn't help but shake my head. At Chengnan High School, exam rooms are assigned based on rankings, which means weak students take exams together, while elite students are grouped together. So in this classroom, 9 out of 10 people are probably idiots. Copying from them would be pure stupidity. At that moment, a figure at the doorway suddenly caught everyone's attention. Is that Zhang Shuqi from class 1? What is she doing here? She's an elite student. She's not supposed to be in this exam room, right? I heard she spoke up for Li Mo last night. Damn, another goddess-tier genius. While they talked, Zhang Shuqi walked up to me carrying a cup of milk tea. Very naturally, she placed it on my desk. Here, milk tea for you. I was slightly stunned. You're lending it to me. Why? Zhang Shuqi crossed her arms. Just do well on the exam. Even if they say I don't need to drop out, I can't afford to lose face. I know none of you believe in me, but I'll surprise them. I really don't know where you get your confidence. I raised my hand and tapped my head lightly. Zhang Shuqi was silent for a moment. As long as you don't come in last place, I'll be satisfied. See you. I watched her figure disappear from the classroom. I picked up the milk tea on the table and shook it. This Zhang Shuqi's attitude towards me seems to have changed a lot. But why? I really can't figure it out. Just as I was racking my brain over it, another figure walked in from outside the door. And his arrival made the entire classroom of examinees hold their breath. Xiaohua, why is he here too? I saw Zhao Shi appearing at the classroom door at this moment. He peeked inside, then slowly stepped in. He was also holding a cup of milk tea in his hand. Why are you here? I looked up at Zhao Shi with a face full of confusion. Zhao Shi, however, snorted arrogantly, threw the milk tea onto my desk, and turned away. The entire process lasted less than 10 seconds. From coming to leaving, most people barely had time to react. Shrimo locked me in the bathroom for 3 hours. If it weren't for the bet involving me, I wouldn't have come to encourage you. However, I was left with a face full of question marks. What kind of attitude is this from Xiaohua? When did I ever offend him? And could this milk tea be poisoned? I shook the 2 cups of milk tea in confusion. The 2 milk teas were identical. Both were bought at the school gate. Pearls are pearls. Milk tea is milk tea. It seemed like there was nothing wrong. Just then, I noticed a note left on the cup. By Xiaohua. It was written in a quiet and elegant handwriting, with the harshest words. You're doomed. What the hell? Xiaohua is using the exam to threaten me. Seriously. I just took her to the infirmary yesterday to check her foot. This ungrateful rich girl. He didn't even know if he had washed his feet. Yet, he massaged them for half an hour, and he still dared to threaten him. But speaking of which, the taste of that popsicle in the sock wasn't bad at all. I placed 2 cups of milk tea in front of me. Hesitated for a moment. In the end, I poked the straw into Zhaoxi's cup. At this moment, the class bell rang quietly. The invigilator walked into the classroom holding the exam papers. Everyone, please put away everything unrelated to the exam. I warn you, do not cheat. If you're caught, it's a 0. Got it? Hearing this warning, I slightly lifted my head and looked towards the podium. My brows furrowed. The invigilator this time was actually my own math teacher. The same one I had angered and driven out of class yesterday. An old menopausal woman, damn. Looks like Lao Song was right. The school really found out about the bet. They specifically sent him to invigilate me. Is it that serious? Can a failing student like me really cause that much trouble? Don't even think about cheating. I'll be watching you the entire 2 hours. I won't let any suspicious movements slide. While distributing the exam papers, the math teacher walked up to me and let out a cold snort. Thanks for your concern, teacher. I won't cheat. I took the exam paper and looked at it carefully. Suddenly, a flood of knowledge points filled my mind. This exam was on mathematics, and coincidentally, I reviewed math last night. So these old-fashioned questions were absolutely no challenge for me. With my vast knowledge, I wrote as fast as the wind, writing furiously, rolling dice, flipping through answer sheets. Other students were stunned. Did this guy just go crazy? Did he really figure out the answers at a glance? Even the math teacher sitting nearby couldn't help but frown. Is Li Mo just guessing blindly? He must be guessing, right? That day, he pointed out my mistake. It was just luck. If working a little harder could really change my grades, then why bother studying seriously? Soon, the class bell rang. Whether finished or not, all students successfully handed in their papers. By then, I had already finished my exam, and even took a nap. I had done everything I could. I was quite satisfied with my performance. After submitting the paper, we had a 20-minute break. So, I stepped out of the exam hall and walked to the garden in front of the school building. This area was open to everyone. Many students came here to relax. I sat in a quiet corner. Looking around, I suddenly noticed a serene figure. She was wearing a white t-shirt and a gray short skirt, sitting by the pond watching the rain. I was mesmerized for a moment. Everyone said that Zhaoxi and I were dating. But that was impossible, right? A perfect girl like her, a top student, could have any boyfriend she wanted. But if I could really marry her one day, just looking at her would feel nice. At that moment, Zhaoxi also noticed that I was looking at her. Her eyes lit up instantly. Go talk to her at HMPH. No way. She locked me up for so long yesterday. Definitely not going. Seeing Zhaoxi suddenly looking angry, I was a bit confused. Did I do something to make her hate me? This girl, why does she always look like she wants to bite my head off? Should I go ask her? Or just forget it? The school is already full of rumors. I'd better keep my distance from Zhaoxi. My simple life shouldn't be disrupted by all this. But seeing me standing still, Zhaoxi only got more frustrated. I'm not going to talk to you, but you can't come to me. Even if we have nothing between us, I still brought you milk tea. Saying a simple thank you wouldn't be too much, right? Just staring. Wasn't lifting me up yesterday enough for you? Annoyed, she picked up a small stone when no one was looking and threw it at me. Whoa. I hurriedly spread my legs apart. The stone whizzed past, just barely missing my crotch. Damn, this school beauty has great aim. She did that on purpose, didn't she? Targeting such an embarrassing spot. Does that really match her cool, goddess-like image? Zhaoxi huffed at me and turned away. She let out a cute snort before looking away. Seeing this, I stubbornly picked up the same stone in secret and threw it back. But I wasn't aiming at Zhaoxi. I was aiming at the pond beside her. With a loud splash, the stone hit the water. A huge splash erupted. Zhaoxi, sitting by the pond, got drenched. She immediately turned to glare at me. Li Mo, you idiot. Zhaoxi wiped the water off her cheeks. Then she made a funny face at me. Seeing this, I chuckled. She actually made me laugh. At the same time, on the fourth floor of the building across the garden, someone leaned against the window, arms crossed, watching us. Are they really not in a relationship? Clearly, he saw everything, the whole scene of us throwing stones. He couldn't help it. He was reminded of what happened on the field. So it's true. Whenever they get a little closer, it feels like they only see each other. No one else can come between them. But, in his heart, why did it feel so strangely sour? Maybe because his goddess was getting too close to someone else. The evening soon arrived. I packed up my school bag, ready to go home and get some rest. But just as I stepped out of the school gate, I ran straight into a hurried figure. Isn't that Xiaoxi? I quickly looked around. Seeing no one nearby, I rushed forward to block her path. Hey, Xiaoxi. Xiaoxi, who was just about to go downstairs, was startled. There were only 10 minutes left before she transformed. If she didn't leave the school soon, someone might see her. Why are you in such a rush? She turned around, and suddenly, the memory of being locked in the dark room by her evil owner flashed in her mind. She tensed up, gripping the railing tightly, biting her lower lip, throwing a rock at me, and then running away. Nice try. Tell me, what's with all this anger today? She let out a cold snort, turning her head away, ignoring me. Was she supposed to tell him that she was actually his pet cat? Or tell him that she had been locked in his bathroom for 3 hours? Or that he had already seen everything? No way. She would take that secret to the grave. Seeing her stubbornly cold attitude, I smacked my lips. I don't think I did anything to upset you. But all I got in return was another cold snort. I scratched my head. Forget it. Let's not overthink it. You don't like me, right? Hearing those words, Xiaoxi's shoulders trembled slightly. What kind of joke is that? There's no way she'd fall for someone in just 3 days. Once she no longer had to transform into a cat, she would disappear without a trace. Why aren't you saying anything? Could it be that you actually like me? No way. I grinned. That's good. I can't afford to take care of a princess. Xiaoxi glared at me fiercely, then quickly turned and ran downstairs. You say you can't afford to take care of me, but you already are. I don't know who it was that forcibly held me in their arms and petted me. I even know how dumb you sound when you snore in your sleep. Bastard. Xiaoxi grumbled while sprinting away, until she disappeared around the corner of the alley. Meanwhile, I casually walked out of the school gate, heading in the same direction. As soon as I reached home, I saw a familiar figure waiting there right on time. Oh, seems like my little stray cat has been getting home on time lately. Saying that, I lifted my foot and playfully nudged her fluffy white butt. Meow, Xiaoxi protested in dissatisfaction, but still obediently followed me inside. I put down my backpack, poured myself a glass of water, and drank it, then sat down on the living room sofa. Maybe because I had never seriously taken a test before, but after a full day of exams, I was exhausted. Xiaoxi, you've been putting on some weight lately, huh? Go make me some dinner. Meow, Xiaoxi lifted her head in disbelief. Are you insane? You're asking a cat to cook for you? Do you even have a conscience? Why did I end up with a master like you? What a lazy cat. Won't even cook a meal. Man, being your owner is such bad luck. I sighed and stepped into the kitchen. On Saturday afternoon, I stretched lazily at the school gate. Finally, exams were over. I gazed at the clear blue sky, feeling my mind slowly unwind. Lately, I had been quite satisfied with my own performance, and I had a rough idea of how I scored. If my calculations were correct, getting expelled shouldn't be a concern anymore. Judging by that expression, you did well, huh? At that moment, Zhang Shuqi appeared behind me, patting my shoulder. I turned around to look at him. Oh, it's you. Where's Xiaoxi? I don't know, but she left pretty quickly. Is she always this mysterious? Zhang Shuqi paused for a moment. Ever since we leave school, we don't really hang out much. I don't know much about that. I couldn't help but stroke my chin. So, she's this cold even to her best friend. Maybe it's just a habit. But you really seem interested in her. No, I was just asking randomly. Zhang Shuqi smiled faintly. After hesitating for a moment, he got into his silver BMW. Just asking, huh? But even if it was just a random question, it was still about Xiaoxi. A habit like that ... can't possibly be wrong, right? Thinking of this, Zhang Shuqi's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Why was he thinking this way? Crazy. I'm going crazy. This is insane. Zhao Shi is my best friend. It's normal to be concerned about her. But why do I care so much about what Li Mo thinks? Meanwhile, outside my house, Zhao Shi looked down at her hands and feet. A look of utter disbelief appeared on her face. The transformation time has already passed. But I didn't turn into a cat. How could this be? Did my wish get undone? But to undo the wish, there should have been a reason, right? Did anything change between today and yesterday? If it didn't get undone yesterday, why did it happen today? Countless questions swirled in the school beauty's mind, leaving her flustered and unsure of what to do. Just then, I suddenly appeared in the hallway, staring at her with a puzzled expression. That's Zhao Shi, right? I don't think I got the wrong person. But why is she standing in front of my door? Hey, Zhao Shi jolted in surprise. She quickly turned around in a panic. Crap, crap, crap. The owner is back, but he didn't transform. Yet he's stepping on his own doormat. I walked up and looked at him. What are you doing standing at my door? I went to the wrong place. Zhao Shi lowered his head. His cheeks blushed slightly. I gave him a strange look. Didn't you already know this is my house? You even saw it last time when it rained. And yet you got lost. I told you. I went to the wrong place. Zhao Shi lifted his head. He looked at me angrily. All right then. How about coming in for a bit? I was just being polite. But surprisingly, Zhao Shi didn't hesitate. He nodded right away. You're really coming in? Zhao Shi bit his lip. Did he actually want to? I didn't think too deeply about what want to meant. I had just asked Zhang Shuqi earlier. I knew that the school beauty had no friends after school. So I opened the door and invited him in. But where is that cat today? Strange. It usually comes home by this time. Could it be out playing again? Oh well, I have a guest at home. I'll think about it later. There are slippers in the shoe cabinet. I was going to say there were new, unopened slippers that he could wear. But when I turned around, Zhao Shi had already put on a pair of slippers, white lace socks wrapped around his small, delicate feet. Now in slippers, he gave off a homely, feminine vibe. I widened my eyes in surprise. I hadn't even finished speaking. How did you know there were slippers in the shoe cabinet? Zhao Shi suddenly looked annoyed and walked straight into the living room. Living alone, yet having women's slippers ready. This guy is definitely not a good person. What did I do now? I felt confused and silently followed him into the living room. This girl is really not shy at all. I don't even know who's the real owner here. I poured him a glass of water. Want some water? But just as I finished pouring, Zhao Shi skillfully pulled out a coaster from the drawer under the coffee table. What the heck? How does he know everything? Have you been to my house before? I looked at him in confusion. I even started doubting my own memory. Zhao Shi picked up the cup and took a sip, then shook his head. He wouldn't say anything. Just let me keep guessing. Serves me right for locking myself in the bathroom. Never been here. No way. The more I think about it, the creepier it gets. You're not some kind of stalker, are you? You know, the kind that spies on my house through the window with binoculars. Before I could finish, Zhao Shi let out a soft HMPH, then raised his hand and gave me a light punch. Even though he didn't know what stalker meant, he could tell it wasn't a good word. Silly idiot. Your cat hasn't come home, and you're not even worried. All you do is overthink things. I rubbed my shoulder. If I'm not, then I'm not. Why hit me? Zhao Shi glared at me fiercely, then turned his head away. Time passed slowly. We sat in the living room in silence. The atmosphere felt a little awkward. No girl had ever been to my little home before. And yet, today, I somehow brought home the cold beauty of South City. The girl countless guys were obsessed with was now sitting here in slippers, holding a teacup, sipping water in small gulps. He knew where the slippers were. He knew where the coasters were. He even knew where my TV remote was. And he could switch channels without looking, pressing the buttons with perfect accuracy. If I weren't sure that I wasn't crazy, I would have suspected that this girl had lived with me before. But how is that even possible? I really couldn't figure it out. I could only chalk it up to some supernatural mystery. Just then, Zhao Shi suddenly turned his head. His eyes seemed to flicker with light. I'm hungry. After saying that, his pretty face turned slightly red. But his expression wasn't shy at all. He was clearly asking for food. Yet he looked so confident about it. For a moment, I thought I misheard him. What did you just say? I'm hungry. So, you mean ... I have to make you dinner? Zhao Shi blushed slightly and nodded. Hearing his answer, I was completely stunned. Wait, isn't he supposed to be a guest? I didn't even offer to treat him. And yet, he's asking for food on his own. Is this what they call getting free meals through connections? Not cold and distant at all. He's actually quite shameless. Zhao Shi silently looked at me. His beautiful eyes were filled with seriousness. Yes, if you're hungry, you should eat. Aren't you the host? Shouldn't the host give food to his guest? I give up. If it weren't for the fact that this was his first time here, I would have kicked him out. Sighing, I got up and made a plate of fried rice in the kitchen. Zhao Shi picked up the plate and ate. While watching TV, as he ate, he found his sitting posture uncomfortable. So he kicked off his slippers and placed his small feet on the couch. He looked just like a lazy girl at home. Except this girl was breathtakingly beautiful, like the epitome of perfection. Do your feet still hurt? I couldn't help but glance at them and suddenly asked. Zhao Shi shook his head, then placed his empty plate on the table. Now that he had eaten and rested, the school beauty sitting on my couch started feeling drowsy. So he tilted his head slightly. She gently leaned on my shoulder. Even though she hadn't turned into a cat, some of her habits still remained. Even though Zhao Shi knew she shouldn't do this. At this moment, she couldn't help but get a little closer to Limo. During the time she had spent with him, she had truly enjoyed being cared for, being wrapped in his gentleness. No need to play piano or practice ballet. Just a simple meow was enough. This place was like paradise for her. But she didn't know why. She suddenly couldn't turn into a cat today. She wasn't sure if this was temporary or permanent. Maybe she would never become Zhao Shi again. So today, she just wanted to let go a little, to quietly enjoy this last moment. As she thought about it, she couldn't help but twitch her nose, gently sniffing his scent. At that moment, my body froze. I sat dumbfounded on the couch, afraid to move an inch. What is going on? Am I going crazy? Or is the school beauty? After a while, Zhao Shi adjusted her position and rubbed her head against my shoulder. This made me feel like I was truly losing my mind. Zhao Shi, is there some kind of misunderstanding between us? Zhao Shi looked up, a little confused. Her eyes were completely innocent. Why do I feel like you're not a stranger at all? And so close to me. We've only known each other for 3 days, right? It's just because of that umbrella, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe you've mistaken me for someone else. That seemed like the most reasonable explanation. A school beauty, falling for someone who looks exactly like herself, then confusing me for that person. That must be the reason for all this. Otherwise, how could two strangers end up in such an intimate position? Zhao Shi scrunched her nose, then raised her fist and playfully punched me. Mistaken identity. Do I look that dumb? People don't just mistake identities like that. By now, the sky had darkened, and my home slowly dimmed with it. Only a few rays of light could pass through the curtains. In this quiet and gentle night, Zhao Shi slightly lifted her eyes. She secretly glanced at Limo. There was no choice. If she turned into a cat, she definitely couldn't stay here overnight. Who knows what kind of terrible things might happen otherwise. Besides, it was about time she went home and explained herself. She had been staying out every night. Her mother was probably going crazy by now. Thinking about this, Zhao Shi stood up, tidied her clothes, and left. You're leaving? I sounded almost too eager to see her go. I quickly stood up. Seeing this, Zhao Shi slightly frowned. So he had been waiting for her to leave all along. Bastard, fine, I'll leave. It's not like you care about me anyway. Not as a person, not as a cat. Even when she didn't come home after dark, he didn't seem worried at all. Thinking about this, Zhao Shi angrily put on her shoes and stormed out. Watching the school beauty leave, I quickly grabbed a jacket and followed her out. It was almost 8 p.m. Logically speaking, Zhao Shi should have been home 2 hours ago. But that troublesome cat was still nowhere to be found. This made me think of all sorts of terrible possibilities. Damn it, where is that useless cat? Where the hell did it go? Being its owner is such a headache. Meanwhile, at Boyu Manor, Zhao Shi finally returned home after 4 days. She walked in under the surprised gazes of the servants. Seeing this, the butler quickly stepped forward to greet her. Miss, you're back. Where's my mother? The madam is in the tea room, having tea. Zhao Shi nodded, then stepped into the villa. Inside the tea room, a graceful woman was sipping her tea. Seeing Zhao Shi enter, the woman slightly lifted her gaze. So, you finally decided to come home. Zhao Shi nodded. I'm sorry, Mom. I shouldn't have run away from home. You already did it. What's the point of apologizing now? The woman set down her teacup. Her expression carried a hint of anger. Her name was Yu Shujing. She was Zhao Shi's mother, and also the vice president of the Jiangling Tea Industry Association, as a natural drink from the mysterious East. The profits of tea were comparable to gold. So the Zhao family wasn't just the wealthiest in Jiangling, but was also well known across the country. However, ever since Zhao Shi, her only daughter, was born, Yu Shujing had gradually stepped away from company affairs. She wanted to devote all her energy to raising her daughter, to make her an exceptional woman. But unexpectedly, her daughter had run away from home and had been missing for 4 whole days. This made her furious. I don't want to hear your apology. I just want to know where were you these past 3 days and 4 nights? Zhao Shi hesitated, unable to answer. But after a moment, she mumbled, I stayed at a friend's house for a few days. What did I do wrong? What made you so unhappy that you had to run away from home? Nothing, Mom. I was just too tired. I wanted to rest. Yu Shujing looked at her. Tired? Piano practice, ballet lessons, painting traditional art, everything tires you out. If you were tired, why didn't you just tell me? Why did you have to disappear without a word? Zhao Shi stayed silent. She muttered in frustration. Would it have made a difference? Hearing the grievance in her tone, Yu Shujing rubbed her temples, suppressing her anger. Enough, go rest. We'll talk about this tomorrow. After Zhao Shi left, Yu Shujing waved her hand toward the door. Immediately, a man in a black suit stepped in. Madam, did you find out the truth? Where exactly did Miss go? We've been following her for days. Miska always disappears in the blink of an eye. Yu Shujing looked annoyed and gave up. Since he has returned, there's no need to investigate. Understood, madam. However, Mrs. Root after school these past few days highly overlaps with a senior male student. Could there be an issue? A male student? Yu Shujing remained silent. After a moment, he furrowed his brow slightly. Could it be that Zhao Shi suddenly ran away from home because of a teenage romance? No, that shouldn't be possible. Although Zhao Shi is in a rebellious phase, she would never do something so reckless. As her mother, I still have confidence in my daughter. Let's leave it at that. Stop following her for now. It wouldn't be good if she found out. Yes, madam. Then, I'll take my leave. The man in black bowed, then turned and exited the tea room. At the same time, Zhao Shi had already reached the 2nd floor of the villa. As soon as he entered his room, he let out a sigh of relief. His heart started pounding wildly. Mom, she actually didn't dig into why I ran away from home. Could it be that she really believed the excuse I gave? I need to inform Zhang Shuqi about this quickly. If she calls to verify, it'll be game over. So, he quickly contacted Zhang Shuqi through QQ. Kiki, I need a favor. What is it? If my mom calls and asks where I've been these past few days, just say that I stayed at your place. On the other end of the connection, Zhang Shuqi was stunned. He wasn't stupid. Hearing Zhao Shi say this, how could he not understand what it meant? You didn't come home at night? You ran away from home? For 4 days. Oh my god, it's so dangerous outside. You're a girl. Where did you go? And for 4 days. Zhao Shi bit her lip. Anyway, I was in a very safe place. Just remember that, okay? Alright. But do you know about Li Mo? What happened to Li Mo? You haven't checked the group chat? The main chat for South City? The one I added you to last semester. What happened? Is it about the bet again? No. Just check it yourself, and you'll see. Zhao Shi felt confused. So she reluctantly opened the muted group chat. As soon as she entered, the first thing she saw was a photo. It was a picture of a cat. Its snow white fur looked as pristine as fresh winter snow. It raised its head proudly, its gaze shining like a galaxy. Zhao Shi was stunned. Wasn't this her own photo? What's going on? She then looked at the chat messages below with confusion. Everyone, my cat is missing. The photo above is him. If any of you live near the school, please keep an eye out. This cat is very important to me. He's a friend I can't lose. I'm begging you, please help. After reading the messages, Xiaoxi clutched her phone tightly, her face filled with panic. At that moment, she finally understood what was happening. Li Mo had been searching for her everywhere, and judging by the time the photo was posted, he had started looking as soon as she left. Had he even eaten dinner? Did he really care about her that much? Xiaoxi glanced at the clock on the wall. It was already the middle of the night. Was he still planning to search further away? It was just a cat he met by chance. Was it really that important to him? Thinking about this, Xiaoxi slowly lay down on the bed. Her heart was pounding, like it was about to jump out. So the reason he was so eager for her to leave was so he could go out and find the cat. He had never forgotten Zhao. He always kept her in his heart. This kind of real emotion he had never experienced before. But what should he do now? There was no way to turn back into Zhao. How should he handle this? He couldn't just let this guy keep searching forever. After thinking it over, he realized there was only one solution. So, he picked up his phone and sent Li Mo a message. Your cat is with me. However, to his surprise, as soon as Li Mo received the message, he instantly started a video call. Seeing this, Xiaoxi panicked. Why a video call? She quickly adjusted her hair, straightened the tilted plushie by her bed, and only then cautiously answered the call. As the screen lit up, her cheeks were already burning red. Seeing the youthful, flawless face on the screen, Li Mo sighed in relief. That's great. The cat is with you, right? Xiaoxi nodded. She raised her hand and mimicked a cat's paw. That little guy has such short legs. How did it manage to get to you? Xiaoxi glared at him. You're the one with short legs. Li Mo was puzzled. I'm talking about my cat. Why are you angry? Xiaoxi didn't say anything. She just kept staring at him, even though the dim night light made it hard to see clearly. Whenever he passed by a street lamp, she could see the sweat glistening on his forehead. He was really anxious, searching for her, afraid of losing his cat. Show me. It's asleep, really. Li Mo thought for a moment. Xiaoxi probably wouldn't lie to him. It seemed that little mischievous cat really was with her. Two little tsunders had finally met. Fate sure is mysterious. Li Mo clicked his tongue. Could you please take care of him for me? I'll pick him up tomorrow afternoon. Midnight. As soon as I got home, I went straight into the kitchen to cook. Xiaoxi looked at me with a blank expression. I left in such a hurry. I didn't have dinner. Now I'm starving. I flipped the spoon a couple of times. By the way, isn't my fried rice delicious? Xiaoxi took a bite. It's delicious. I smiled proudly. After plating the steaming fried rice, I placed it in front of the camera. I didn't send you away on purpose earlier. I was looking for the cat. Did you know that? Xiaoxi nodded slightly. So, if you ever get the chance to visit again, I'll treat you properly. As an apology, Xiaoxi's cheeks turned slightly red. Should I visit again as a human? This guy, he's quite skilled at inviting girls over. At that moment, I sat on the sofa with my freshly made fried rice. Miss, I'm going to eat now. I'll hang up first. Wait, don't hang up. I was stunned when I heard that. Wait, what does don't hang up mean? Watching a mukbang late at night, testing her self-control. Is this campus beauty really that tough? She's so harsh on herself. I grabbed a teacup from the cabinet, propped my phone against it, then stuck my spoon into the fried rice, and started wolfing it down. The campus beauty was unbelievably cold. She didn't say a word, just kept watching. She watched for a while, then suddenly she raised her hand to cover her mouth and yawned. If you're sleepy, just go to bed. Good night. She hung up the video call. I lay in bed, staring blankly. When I was just on video call with Xiaoxi, why did it feel like a little scene was still playing? At the same time, at Boyu Manor, Xiaoxi kicked off her slippers and quietly snuggled into her blanket. What should I do? He's coming to pick up the cat tomorrow afternoon. But where am I supposed to find a cat for him? As expected, one lie always leads to more lies. Early the next morning, I left home and headed to Pet World in the west of the city. It was a massive pet supply mall, stocked with everything imaginable for pets. To deal with the missing scoundrel cat situation, I decided to buy a tracking bell for it. What I didn't expect was that Xiaoxi had also come to this mall. Last night, after much deliberation, he decided to find a similar-looking cat as a substitute. And as the largest pet mall in Jiangling City, it had a vast variety of cats. So he arrived early in the morning, searching carefully among the cat enclosures. The cat that Xiaoxi had transformed into was a pure white ragdoll. Ragdolls, as one of the most beloved cat breeds, were not rare in pet markets, but finding an entirely snow-white ragdoll with no stray hairs was difficult. His eyes were getting tired from searching. Finally, he found a similar ones, but the problem was, one was too lazy, lacking any hint of elegance. The other was even worse. It was a male. There was no way he could buy a male cat. That scoundrel Limo was always thinking about giving him a bath. If this male cat got exposed, it would be over. But the lazy cat completely lacked any proud demeanor, and it was noticeably smaller than the original version. What should I do? As his gaze kept shifting, everyone in the store had their eyes fixed on him. What a picture-perfect scene. A girl and her cat, a flawless composition. Such a beautiful moment. Even an anime couldn't capture this. So, several men in the store were visibly eager. Miss, are you buying a cat? I'm very familiar with cats. How about we pick one together? Or maybe add me on WeChat. You can ask me anything about cats anytime. Meanwhile, as I was searching for a tracking bell, I happened to pass by the cat section and immediately spotted Xiaoxi surrounded by a crowd. Why is Xiaoxi here? Oh right, Xiaoxi is still staying at his place. He must be here to buy food or supplies for Xiaoxi. At that moment, Xiaoxi was carefully looking for a cat. His expression seemed a bit uneasy. He didn't like being followed, especially by strangers of the opposite sex. But the men hitting on him were relentless. They followed him everywhere. An unspoken irritation made him want to lash out. His eyes grew colder by the second. Just then, I waved at him, Xiaoxi. Amidst the crowd, Xiaoxi immediately lifted his head upon hearing his name. The moment he saw me, his eyes lit up instantly. Limo, why is he suddenly here? Under the astonished gazes of the crowd, Xiaoxi quickly made his way through the shelves and rushed straight to my side. Then he tugged at the hem of my shirt and hid behind me. I glanced at the campus beauty, then at the men. Oh, so she was getting hit on. Well, that's no surprise. Who wouldn't be attracted to a girl like this? Don't worry. I'll shop with you. Xiaoxi was delighted. Still holding onto my shirt, he walked away from the cat section with me. At that moment, he had completely forgotten why he came here. Snow White cat. Replacement. Who cares? Oh, turns out she has a boyfriend. What a waste of beauty. This guy is way too lucky. Being able to win over such a goddess. All the men in the store were crushed, their faces filled with envy, jealousy, and resentment. After leaving the cat section, I took Xiaoxi around the mall. His fair little hand held onto the hem of my shirt, as if afraid of being left behind. Oh, the bell section is over here. Come on, let's check it out. Xiaoxi nodded, okay? Xiaoxi must be quite a handful at your place, right? That little troublemaker is anything but easy to handle. Hearing that, Xiaoxi's heart suddenly skipped a beat. Oh no. He had been so focused on watching Limo that he completely forgot to buy a cat. What was he going to return to him in the afternoon? If Limo found out he had been lying, he'd definitely be mad. Seeing Xiaoxi's uneasy expression, my face also changed. Could it be that he connected something to the name Xiaoxi? Hey, don't misunderstand. My cat being named Xiaoxi is purely a coincidence. It's absolutely not because I have any thoughts about you. Really, I would never treat him as you and squeeze or cuddle him or anything. You better not overthink it. Xiaoxi's face immediately turned red. He raised a fist and lightly tapped my shoulder. Bastard. That's exactly what you were thinking, if he wasn't mistaken. Limo's eyes had lit up when he spoke just now. After buying the tracking bell, I decided to get him a few other things. So I took Xiaoxi to the pet accessories section. Guys usually aren't interested in accessories and decorations. But when I saw a pair of black cat ears, I froze. If Xiaoxi wore these, he'd probably look adorable. As I thought about it, before I knew it, my hands had moved on their own, and I gently placed the cat ears on Xiaoxi's head. Xiaoxi tilted his head slightly and glanced at the mirror in front of him. That's when he realized what I had done. His eyes instantly turned red. He let out a small hum and gave my chest another punch. Seeing the campus beauty's reaction, I was amused. She was really adorable. Why not just keep it on? I'll gift it to you. Xiaoxi turned his head away, but he made no move to take off the hair clip. A girl just like a cat. Seeing that he allowed it, I couldn't help but feel playful. I then picked out a small golden bell. What about this, want it too? Xiaoxi scoffed and lifted his head, pretending to act cool. But his slightly flushed cheeks betrayed what he truly felt inside. So I took the liberty, holding the bell necklace and looping it around his neck. Apart from when he transformed into a cat, this was the first time Xiaoxi had been this close to a guy. The angle made his chin get closer and closer to my chest. His breathing started to become irregular as he bit down on his lips tightly. But I wasn't doing much better. While putting the bell on Xiaoxi, my fingers brushed against his delicate neck several times, making my hands tremble slightly. It took me way too long to put it on properly. At that moment, the atmosphere between us was incredibly intimate. It felt as if we were embracing each other. All done, I looked at Xiaoxi, now fully accessorized, and couldn't help but swallow. Today, Xiaoxi was wearing a black student-style dress, paired with adorable pointed cat ears and a small golden bell. She looked unbelievably cute. Noticing my gaze, Xiaoxi quickly lowered his head, his face filled with shyness. Enough. Stop staring. We haven't even paid yet. Hurry up and check out. I finally snapped out of it and quickly looked away, feeling embarrassed. But as I turned my head, I saw something even more shocking. A black cattail. What kind of store is this? Why do they even sell things like this? 30 minutes later, I brought Xiaoxi to the checkout counter. However, when I saw the black cattail in the shopping basket, I couldn't help but blush. What exactly was I expecting? Was Xiaoxi really going to put it on for me to see? That thought alone was quite thrilling. At that moment, the cashier suddenly looked up at me. She was holding the tracking bell in her hand. Sorry, sir. This tracking bell requires identity registration on the 3rd floor. I was momentarily stunned. You need to register your identity just to buy something. The cashier gave me an apologetic smile. Unfortunately, due to security concerns, we need to verify that you're actually using it for a cat. So, registration is required. Oh, so that's why. I nodded in understanding. Then, I took Xiaoxi to the seating area. Xiaoxi had no idea that the bell had a tracking feature. Why would a simple bell even need privacy protection? I suddenly bent down and sat in front of him. I'm going upstairs for the registration. Can you wait here like a good boy? Xiaoxi was startled by how close I suddenly got, but he still nodded with slightly flushed cheeks. Seeing him behave so obediently, I couldn't help but smile. Then I turned and headed to the 3rd floor for registration. As soon as I disappeared into the elevator, Xiaoxi suddenly turned to look at the cattail. How exactly was this thing worn? He curiously took it out. His beautiful eyes widened in shock. Then his entire face turned as red as a boiling kettle, heat rising from him. Oh my god, this cattail is got a plug. What the hell was that bastard thinking? Meanwhile, Xiaoxi's close friend, Zhang Shuqi, had just arrived at the cat section. At this moment, she was holding her phone, her eyes scanning the cat racks. What kind of cat would that guy like? It should be someone more gentle, or maybe someone cuter. Guys are just like that. They absolutely adore things that go yin yin yang. Zhang Shuqi was seriously thinking about it. His gaze gradually became somewhat shy. Yesterday, in the group chat, he witnessed the whole process of Li Mo searching for the cat. Although he didn't say anything in the group, he kept paying attention to the result. But he realized that Li Mo hadn't posted any updates after 10 p.m. He figured that meant the cat wasn't found. So he decided to buy a cat at the pet store today and give it to Li Mo. When he was about to do it, He hesitated for a long time. He and Li Mo weren't even that close. So, why was he going out of his way to buy a cat for him? They had only exchanged a few words and taken a walk in the park together. That's all. But why did thinking about Li Mo losing his cat make him feel sad? And why had he been thinking about him so much these past few days? His mind kept flashing with images of him. After thinking it over, Zhang Shuqi attributed it all to kindness. Thinking that, Zhang Shuqi instantly smiled like a sweet girl next door. Just then, he suddenly saw me coming down from the escalator. Why is he here? Zhang Shuqi's eyes lit up slightly. He quickly followed after, just as he was about to call out to me. He suddenly noticed that I was walking toward a girl sitting nearby. So Zhao Shi came with him? Seeing that, Zhang Shuqi lowered the hand he had raised to greet me. He bit his lips slightly. What am I even doing? Why am I not just staying home and resting on a weekend? Why did I even come here? What does it have to do with me that guy lost his cat? I'm not even close to him. On the other side, I had just finished paying and was holding a shopping bag in one hand. With my other hand, I pulled on Zhangji's sleeve. We squeezed out of the crowded pet store. I wiped off my sweat. Turning my head, I looked at Zhaoxi, who was feeling dizzy from being squeezed. Are you going home now? Or do you want to have a meal with me? Originally still feeling dazed, Zhaoxi immediately perked up at the mention of food. I want to eat meat. I chuckled, leading him toward my favorite barbecue restaurant. That place should be able to satisfy a meat lover like him. Meanwhile, Zhaoxi was contemplating in his mind. How should he tell me about Zhao? He had no cat to give me, because that cat was actually himself. So he thought of a more reasonable excuse. You're saying that you really like Zhao and want to keep him at home for a few more days. At the barbecue restaurant, we sat facing each other. I added more meat to the grill while questioning Zhaoxi. Zhaoxi nodded, but there was a hint of panic in his eyes. He wasn't sure if I would accept that excuse. But at the very least, he couldn't let me go looking for Zhao today. I guess that's fine. But that cat isn't very likable, is it? Hearing that, Zhaoxi suddenly looked up and glared at me. What does Li Mo mean by that? I'm obviously very likable, okay? Seeing his reaction, I gave an awkward smile. If you want to keep him, go ahead. But can I go to your place to see him? My place? Hearing those 3 words, Zhaoxi immediately shook his head. No way. He had just barely managed to get away with running away from home. If his mom misunderstood and thought he was in a relationship, he'd be doomed. Seeing him shake his head and refuse, I silently put down my tongs. I had thought that after everything we'd been through together, we could at least call each other friends. But his outright rejection made me suddenly realize that I had been overthinking things. Maybe to Zhaoxi, I was no different from anyone else. Being rejected was only natural. Thinking that, I absent-mindedly picked up the tongs and flipped the meat. Meanwhile, Zhaoxi was staring at the sizzling, oily pork belly. His mouth was gradually watering. It should be ready to eat now. Try it, but be careful. It's hot. Zhaoxi nodded. He picked up a piece of grilled meat with his chopsticks and put it into his mouth. The sound of chewing filled the air. He let out a satisfied sound. It's so good. He was an absolute meat lover. Not because of anything else, but because his mother strictly controlled his weight. According to his mom, a lady from an elite family must maintain the perfect figure. Although I found his reaction adorable, I was still a bit curious. Do you not go out alone often? Zhaoxi nodded. Then he placed a particularly fatty piece of meat into my bowl. It feels like we're complete opposites. Your family is very strict, but no one cares about me. But honestly, I like this kind of life. At least it's free. In the end, everyone has to live independently anyway, right? Zhaoxi nodded in strong agreement. It was exactly because he craved freedom that he turned into a cat and hid in my house. I just didn't know it at the time. I suddenly looked up at Zhaoxi. By the way, have you decided which university to go to? Zhaoxi thought for a moment, then shook his head. Even though he had worked so hard to convince his mom not to send him abroad, even if he studied domestically, his mom would still interfere. Maybe his own opinion didn't matter at all. What about you? I was slightly stunned. My mom, I don't know either. I used to do so poorly in school, so I never thought about it. But I did think a lot about which factory I'd end up screwing bolts in. Let's do it together. What? Xiaoxi let out a soft hum, then refused to say it again. But I had already heard it clearly. Just, together doing what? Go to university. If it were the old me, I wouldn't have even dared to think about it. But now, with my enhanced memory, maybe it's actually possible. Seeing me lost in thought, Xiaoxi added a lot of meat to my plate. Then he blinked his bright eyes, staring at me intently. Eat up. Are you worried I won't get full? I gave a wry smile, picking up a piece of grilled meat and putting it in my mouth. Seeing this, Xiaoxi immediately broke into a happy smile. He was truly happy today, because Li Mo had given him a gift. Aside from Zhang Shuqi, it was the first time he had ever received a gift from a friend. Even though among the items, there was something that made his face flush red and his heart race a tail. By the time we finished eating, it was already 2 p.m. The sky had started to turn gloomy. It seemed like a heavy rain was brewing behind the clouds. We walked down the street to the bus stop. Then we said our goodbyes. Keep the gift safe. Don't leave it on the bus. Saying that, I put the tracking bell into my pocket, then handed him the remaining cat ears, the bell, and the tail. Xiaoxi took the shopping bag, his cheeks blushing as he softly said goodbye. After getting on the bus, he found a seat in the corner. Then he hugged the bag tightly against his chest, making sure to cover it up completely. He couldn't let anyone see it. He had to hide it well. If his mom saw it, he'd be doomed. Especially that wearable tail. If she really saw it, the eruption would be like a volcano. At 4 p.m., the light drizzle arrived right on schedule. I took the bus home safely. After putting the bell away in my bedroom, I lay leisurely on the couch with a cup of tea in hand. That troublesome cat even had time to go shopping with the school beauty. How could I possibly feel upset? The corners of my lips curled up. I took a sip of hot tea. On Monday, the school rankings would be announced. As someone who took the exam myself, I already had a rough estimate of my results. Among all the subjects, the one I lost the most points on was English listening. Even though I had memorized all the vocabulary and sentence structures, I never actually practiced speaking. So for this monthly test English listening section, I mostly just guessed. But even with this major setback, I was still confident that I could surpass those rocket-like students. So dropping out was absolutely out of the question. Just as I was lost in thought, my phone suddenly lit up. I picked it up and looked. It was a message from that girl, Zhang Shuqi. Li Mo, did you find your cat? Yeah, I found it. Thanks for your concern. Wow, that's so lucky. Where did you find it? Xiaoxi picked it up and took it home. That little troublemaker actually ran all the way to biking. It really knows how to stir up trouble. Well, at least you found it. Congrats, I replied with a simple thanks, then ended the conversation. Meanwhile, Zhang Shuqi lay on his bed, slowly placing his phone on his chest. Ever since coming back from the pet store today, he had been feeling inexplicably down. He didn't even know why he was upset. But he just wanted to ask Li Mo why he was with Xiaoxi, and to send that message. He had been hesitating in his room for half an hour. Now that he had an answer, he suddenly felt a lot better. So it was because Xiaoxi had found his cat. That's why they went to the pet market together. They weren't secretly sneaking off together, like he had imagined. But why did he feel a sense of relief? Zhang Shuqi felt a mess in his heart. He was starting to understand himself less and less. At first, he only got involved with Li Mo because of Xiaoxi. Xiaoxi was his best friend, and also his goddess. Besides, he was originally the type who he used to look down on bad students. He was afraid his best friend would go down the wrong path. But that day at Qing Park, he realized he didn't really know Li Mo at all. That person was nothing like he had imagined. The way he smiled at stray animals was as warm as the sun. And so, Zhang Shuqi found himself caring more and more about Li Mo. But that was normal, right? It was just out of concern between classmates, wasn't it? Thinking that, Zhang Shuqi suddenly broke into a happy smile. He put on his slippers and ran out of the room energetically. Mom, I want to eat. Eat. Didn't you just say you were feeling down and didn't want to eat? I feel better now. So I'm hungry. His mother looked at him, finding it a little strange. Then, her sixth sense as a woman started to kick in. This kid. Could he be dating someone at such a critical time in his senior year? Meanwhile, at the same time, Zhao Shi had also returned to the luxury villa in Boyuhating, but this time, he was acting a little sneaky. Because inside his shopping bag were some rather embarrassing items. His mother had always raised him with the standards of an elite young lady. If she saw cat ears, a small bell, and a cat tail, he might as well never come home again. She might even make a public scandal out of it, but this was a gift from his master. There was no way he could throw it away. As long as he could sneak back to his room and hide it properly, everything would be fine. But just as he stepped through the front door, the butler suddenly appeared, startling Zhao Shi. "Welcome back, miss." "I am back. Madam has gone out for afternoon tea. Then I'll head up to my room." Hearing that his mother wasn't home, Zhao Shi immediately let out a sigh of relief. "Would you like me to bring you some tea, miss?" No, I need to go into seclusion," Zhao Shi said while running upstairs, while also stopping the butler's enthusiasm. Seclusion? What kind of seclusion? The young lady was acting stranger by the day. The butler shook his head and turned to head toward the backyard greenhouse. Meanwhile, as soon as Zhao Shi entered his room, he immediately locked the door behind him. Then, with a small jump, he landed on the bed. His little bottom bounced slightly on the mattress. He was in an incredibly good mood today. After all, he had gone to the pet market with Li Mo. They had barbecue together, and Li Mo even got him cat ears and a little bell. It was the happiest day of his life. Oh right, he had to try on the tail. Thinking about that, Zhao Shi's face instantly flushed red. He quickly jumped off the bed, then pulled all the curtains shut. First, he put on the cat ears and gave his head a shake. Then, he tied the little bell around his neck. He stared at himself in the mirror for a long time. Maybe what Li Mo said was true. This outfit was strange, but it was definitely cute. And then there was the tail. Thinking about how the tail was worn, Zhao Shi's fair face turned an even deeper shade of red. If it were before he met Li Mo, he would have never accepted wearing something like this. What kind of girl would even wear such a thing? It had to be someone indecent. But ever since becoming Li Mo's cat, his heart always seemed to unconsciously obey him. So, when Li Mo bought him clothes, he couldn't help but want to try them on. After a great deal of fumbling, Zhao Shi finally put on the cat tail, then stood in front of the mirror for a while. Oh my god, this was way too weird. Did Li Mo actually want to see him like this? No way. Absolutely not. If he saw this, Zhao Shi would never be able to face him again. Why were all guys so scary? Zhao Shi kept shaking his head, but then, as if thinking of something, he suddenly bit his lip. His mom was always at home. There was no way he'd dare wear this a second time. So, I might as well take a photo to remember this. Zhao Shi, his face still flushed, held up his phone and took a picture in the mirror. Without thinking, he sent it to Li Mo. When I saw the message from Zhao Shi, my eyes instantly widened in shock.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe to Nice Gam Lee channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any new content. Your support is a huge motivation for me to keep creating better videos. Once again, thank you so much and see you in the next video.